of Gabon. He says that given the Panthers' disgraceful performance at the AFCON, the government has decided to dissolve the technical staff, suspend the national team until further notice, and remove players Bruno Manga and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. End quote. Now, Minister Simplice Desiree Mambula, he told Gabonese television late on Wednesday. So let me introduce Bernard Abekwatri and Manuel Kwache into the conversation on that note. Gentlemen, Happy New Year. Good to see you.
Yeah, Happy New Year, Ben. Good to see you. Good to see you.
This is how we are starting off our New Year. Oh, you know, my also says that 2026 is a year of turnaround. So things will be turning. I don't know.
Gabon is turning things around.
Gabon is turning things around. I mean, you can't go to an AFCON, lose 3 games on the bounce, and expect to, be giving a hero's welcome. And the truth about Gabon is, in the past, when they've done decently in football games, qualification, tournaments, or whatnot, their government has rewarded them handsomely. You know, they have quite a decent amount of oil deposits, and so they're a pretty rich country, even though wealth in Gabon is very unequally distributed. But that's a story for another day. This is the word on the ground. This is how we start off our new year. To our cherished listeners out there and our viewers, we are on 97.3 Citi FM radio. We are also on YouTube at Citi Sports GH. We are on Twitter or X at Citi973. So on radio, you can get to us via text, WhatsApp, and Telegram on 0539 986 996 0539 986 996. Let's start off on that note. I'll talk about Chelsea briefly because there's some breaking news coming out of Chelsea as well. It says basically that Enzo Maresca and Chelsea have agreed to part ways after a turbulent 2025. We'll get into that conversation, but now let's fixate on the AFCON. Let's talk about
that's a cryptic move.
Yep. Let's talk about the Gabonese. The bomb that has dropped in Gabon in their national team, or as far as their sports is concerned. 3-2 defeat to Cote d'Ivoire yesterday has led to a suspension indefinitely of their national team. Technical team dissolved. Aubameyang banned.
Ben, like I indicate again, this is a cryptic move. It's so awkward. It's strange for me because there's a way to go about this whole football scheme. Yeah, you can blame the players for really not performing, at their maximum, hence the results they churned out. But you look at it critically, there's no need to even set up a committee to look into this matter. When your coach is not good, and we've seen examples here in our fold. We've seen a lot happen where results are, you cannot juxtapose this with the Chelsea example, for example, because it's quite different, But for the Gabon situation, I can't fathom because I feel there should be a way. Maybe the technical team would have. How can you dissolve a national team? How do you dissolve a national team? That's government interference right there. Because, look, yes, the national team depends on the under the ministry under government and all of that. So it's the government that's feeding through the people's taxes into making the national team stronger and all of that. But I feel it's a hurried decision. It's a decision that I feel.
Well, it's not hurried really if you look at the context. So let me give you some context. Now they say that after the 3-2 defeat to Mozambique, who are ranked 102nd in the world, they triggered an investigation and basically a review. Like they thought that particular result was just unthinkable. Like they don't understand why they should be losing to Mozambique. So apparently after that defeat, there was. So he says that it was reviewed by the Council of Ministers following Sunday's 3-2 defeat to 102 ranked Mozambique, which meant Gabon could not progress. So after that defeat, when they knew their fate was sealed, they began their processes. So this is not even to do with the Cote d'Ivoire game per se. It's more like they looked at their second game at the competition and said, you know what, this is just unacceptable.
That's the competition?
Yeah.
I still feel it's a hard decision.
You have a point.
Then we should dissolve the Black Stars. because it's been consistent.
Oh, but people have called for it. It's not like people have not called for
why,
it.
Of course, but
people have called for it.
Why isn't the sports ministry and why isn't the government attempting that?
Maybe we have a lot more tolerance for how institutions should work independently down here.
Well, I mean, based on research, it used to be more common in Africa, but then FIFA has FIFA puts a different.
You breach it.
FIFA have a different stance on it now. They see it as government interference. So
you breach it.
I can
My
understand.
point I'm building. You get it. My point. And I feel, look, FIFA is going to come in. When we had our football obstructed by the number 12, okay, everything turned upside down, and then government had wanted to come in to, control situations. Then FIFA came and said, no, if you go too hard, you are trying to obstruct something that we've all agreed to as member associations under the bigger umbrella FIFA. So you would have to step aside, set up a normalization committee, and let it go into the nitty-gritties, and codes or laws or codes that you think has been violated, for example, you go into it and try and restructure, have new codings that you feel can help the game progress. So when players of the local scene get very good performances, and there is a tournament or an international friendly by FIFA, because the team is dissolved, are they going to honor the FIFA
guidelines? I mean, you know,
shadowed friendly.
Gabon have a very interesting political system. So, to be honest, it's very interesting to just observe what will happen in the next couple of days or weeks. Now, more quotes to interest you and both you and Manuel. Now, Gabonese president has been speaking. So, if you think yes, I like that you're taking it from the government interference point, but if you think that the minister talking was a big deal, the president himself has spoken. Now, the president was just inaugurated in May 2025. So, listen to this. So, Aubameyang apparently left the Gabonese camp after the 3-2 defeat to Mozambique. Now, he left and went back to Marseille, apparently because he had a thigh knock.
Okay.
And I quote the president. He says, "This has weakened part of our national identity," Gabon's President Brice Clotaire Nguema said on Monday, as per an official statement released on Wednesday. He says the national team highlights two major problems: the lack of method and dispersion of resources. End quote. The president promised strong and structural decisions to restore rigor, responsibility, and ambition in the governance of national sport. That could, however, land Gabon in trouble with football's world governing body FIFA, which bans government interference in its affairs of its member associations. So there you have it there, the Gabonese story.
This is what I say,
unfolding.
It's a cryptic decision.
Unfolding in real time, really. This broke just a few hours ago, so it will grow a lot of legs.
So this is after the last game, right?
Yeah. In fact, this story just broke like 2 hours ago.
Then after the second game, he comments again, the country's president.
Good.
And I quote, he says, "There's a worrying erosion of patriotic spirit in the management of sports affairs." While also pointing, the finger at shortcomings in persistent structural failings. What do you do as a president?
Well, like I'm saying, I just want to progress the conversation from there. He's been in power since May. A lot of things might have happened before he took power. So this is probably him attempting to stamp his own authority. Maybe he wanted to say, let me see what my predecessor's blueprint will do. If it doesn't work, I'll go my own way. But let me move the conversation. Let me take Kwache's thoughts on this one. So Aubameyang, and this is not the first time Aubameyang has run into trouble with his national team. If you remember correctly, he's had these type of issues. Left camp before, he's retired before, come out of retirement to play. Now he's been banned alongside Ekuel Manga. Team dissolved. FIFA ban probably looming. Huge.
Yeah, I mean, how often does a player get banned from selection from a national team to be eligible for selection?
And it looks like this ban is coming down from the president himself. The president and sports minister says, ban that guy. Like, ban that guy.
You're joking.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a quote from SuperSport that's also attributed to Aubameyang, who has also now responded saying that the problems in this team are a little bigger than me. Which is his own statement. But I think that's the point. I don't agree with him leaving camp after the second game. I understand that they cannot progress through to the next round anymore. So maybe, according to him, maybe he serves his function at the tournament. Fair. But things like that also create an impression about your commitment to the team. And like you said, this is someone whose commitment to the team has already been questioned before. I don't know whether it's drastic, because if I look back at their games, all 3 games were lost by by single goal margin. Losing 1-0 to Cameroon and 2 narrow 3-2 defeats. Yeah. In contrasting fashion, against Mozambique, they came from 3-0 back to 3-2, so that's a spirited performance. And against Cote d'Ivoire, they managed to let a two goal.
I'm sure that's what even annoyed them the most. But because I saw that game was 2-0, how do you let a 2-goal lead slip and lose the game 3-2?
Ben, at 89 minutes, Ghana were leading Mozambique.
I beg you, don't go there. I beg you, it's a new year. You anger Ghanaians. Don't go there. I beg you. The person who did this thing, we have moved on from him. Don't go there. Please continue.
I would say it's drastic, but at the same time too, I think, like you said, there's always a lot of praise when things are going well. So when things are not going well, I can understand why they would need to be seen to be taking some sort of measure. But I don't think the performance over the last 3 games can be put down solely to the coaching or Aubameyang particularly. Obviously, maybe you need to cut the head off, and that is what they're trying to start with. But to me, it looks like they are searching for answers. Obviously, like you said, it's an inquest, and it looks like this is the outcome, the consensus of their inquest, and they decided that this is how we are going to solve the problem. Whether or not this is actually going to have any actual effect on the national team, it's probably a wake-up call to some of the other players in the squad, so that they see that these are the stakes that you are playing with. But I think that they've also been a little too. I think the decision is not rushed, like you said. It's not rushed because they took their time to make the decision. But I think it's quite a reactionary decision to. Because about a month ago, things were quite good. They were in the semi-finals of the playoff. They just lost out to Nigeria. Otherwise, they would have played against DR Congo in the final. They've had a few close results here. Obviously, these are not the results they wanted. But I think that they've been quite unlucky, and I think that they're failing to account for that in their decision making.
You think that they should consider the element of being luck or being unlucky? I don't know how if you put your resources and things, I don't know if you want to leave room for luck per se, because they would also say that, well, the other teams you were losing to could also have been unlucky. Why were we unlucky 3 times?
And I would argue that this is probably one of the hardest groups there is, coming against Cameroon, Ivory Coast, and the Ivory Coast game again. The win would have done nothing for them. I understand that it's also very semantic, but winning the match,
no, but like I've always said, right,
would have had no impact on
that's the defending champion.
Like I've always said, if you look at these decisions, they are not. There's more to it than you see on the surface. It's not just about, oh, we lost 3 games, we are out, we are sacking the team. It's more a revelation of deeper cracks within the team. Now, like I've said, Gabon have not necessarily been the poster child for a stable national team or even a stable nation in the past couple of years. And so a lot has gone on around their national team. Like I said, Aubameyang felt aggrieved after, I believe, what was one of the last AFCONs, retired from the national team, took the decision to come back and play. A lot has happened, a lot has happened. So it looks like they are deciding that they need to look themselves hard in the mirror and make some decisions going forward.
But I'm sure Aubameyang himself has been in quite good form for Gabon, which is the irony of
Aubameyang has always been.
Some saying that. Look, you sit like you say, you have a committee. Fair point. Let the committee decide how much we would want to pay a coach. What category of coach would we want to get for our national team? Okay, so we want to pay $60,000 a month for a coach, 80,000, i.e. within that range for a coach. We go hire that coach, then we begin from scratch. Okay, this is what we want to do. We want to give If you want to try your local boys, for example, if you want to bring in more of this, in quotes, foreign guys, who have dual nationality to want to play for your national team, fair point. Or you want to start with a youth system. So you break it down into under 21s, under 19s, in that range, and try and build a national team. That's fair.
We'll see what they'll try and do from here. But this is a very interesting piece of news coming out of the situation from Gabon. Let me get through some of the results from yesterday. I'll give you the full list of teams that have qualified for the next stage, and then we will move the conversation. We'll talk about best players from the group phase. I'll talk about top scoring teams, West defenses, all of that in a bit. So when you look at the results from yesterday's matches, Gabon 2, Cote d'Ivoire 3, Mozambique 1, Cameroon 2. If you look at that particular game, goals scored by Katamo for Mozambique. I believe Katamo plays for Sporting Lisbon, or at least played for Sporting at a point. Left-footed winger, very skillful player. Nene with an own goal for Cameroon, and then Kofani also getting the all-important winner. When you go to the other game played, Equatorial Guinea lost 3-1 to Algeria. That game, the Algerians were in dominant form in that game. So Belaid, Chaibi, and Maza scoring the goals. And then Insue, also another very controversial figure with his own national team, getting the consolation. And then the game between Sudan and Burkina Faso ended in Burkina Faso beating Sudan by 2-0. So Mayele did what he could do, half them puffed, but an own goal, yes, not an own goal actually, a missed penalty, and then goals from Kwasi, Asen Kwasi, and also Traore sealing the win for Burkina Faso. So that's what it says as far as the AFCON group phase closure is concerned. Let's get to the round of 16 and get through the fixture list. We'll not preview those games today. We'll get into them a little later on when the action gets closer. But let me just give you what's going on with regards to the round of 16. So we have Mali versus Tunisia. That should be a good one. Mali versus Tunisia should be a good game. We have Senegal versus Sudan. Kwesi Appiah can either make a big name for himself or might have to start packing his bags because it might be the end of the road. Egypt up against Benin in that situation. Cote d'Ivoire versus Burkina Faso will be an absolute eye-opener. I will tell you that if you want a good game of football to watch, physicality, some kind of skill, flamboyance, and power, that's a game you don't want to miss out on. And then you can go to the other side of the bracket. When you get to the other side of the bracket, we have Algeria versus DR Congo. Algeria versus Congo should be a good game as well. Nigeria play Mozambique. Cameroon are up against South Africa in what should be a good game, plainly because Hugo Bruce led Cameroon to an AFCON title, and now he's leading South Africa. So it will be just interesting to see how they get into this one. And then we have Morocco taking on Tanzania. Couldn't have been easier for the host nation in this one. And I believe the winner of Morocco-Tanzania plays the winner of South Africa and Cameroon. So that should be interesting. Manuel, let me take your thoughts on the group phase closing out. Finally, next batch of matches begin on Saturday. That's a round of 16. I don't know which of the games jumps out at you. Like I said, we won't get into too much detail, but just even on the surface, which of the fixtures are you looking forward to the most?
I think Cameroon. I think Cameroon's game should be quite interesting.
Cameroon essay.
Yeah, Cameroon, South Africa. Like you said, the Hugo Bruce factor of it all. But I also think that because of, I was mentioning this yesterday, because of how the draw has lined up, I think that the teams on one side of the group of the draw have a much easier route to the final. And South Africa Cameroon section is only the start of what would be a very a very tough run to get to the final for either team. But like you said, this is an AFCON. These are the best teams on the continent. So if I don't think you should be expecting to only face a challenge when you get to the final or the semi-final. I think that even if you face a big team early on, you should be prepared for it in this competition. Looking at the way things have lined up, it's good to see that some of the bigger teams have. I wouldn't say it's an easier game, but they have matches that you would expect them to win. So Tanzania still don't have a win in the competition. They're the only team to have progressed without a win, and they are coming up against the host Morocco. I can see Morocco winning that game quite comfortably. Same thing with maybe if you go to Egypt and Benin. As good as Benin have been recently, I think that Egypt would also look at that and consider themselves favorites. So I think that's some evenly matched games, but more often than not, because of the first place team coming up against the third place teams, you have some teams that have already established dominance in the competition coming up against teams that haven't really yet got going, teams that had to rely on, and like we've been talking about today, some elements of luck to make it through to this stage. And I don't know if they'll be able to make it through beyond that, given the level of competition that they face. So I think in terms of evenly matched games, South Africa, Cameroon should probably be the one that I'll look out for. In terms of upsets, I'd say maybe Algeria, DR Congo. Because I think most people would expect Algeria to go through, but I think DR Congo could have a surprise for them. But other than that, most of the games are fairly well set up, and I think you can see the results. You can at least you can tell which the type of game you expect. You can tell the type of game to expect.
Abeku, what are your standout fixtures from the round of 16 games?
I feel it will be exciting watching South Africa, Cameroon. Hugo Bruce comes in with a lot of experience. There are a lot of players that Cameroon, we didn't give them that opportunity, but I feel there are a lot of scattered talents in the mix that are going to challenge South Africa and question the tactical intelligence of Hugo Bruce, because he's a manager that's already mentioned the South Africans expect him to win this AFCON, but he's also mentioned that he's not getting the vibe
win the AFCON. We are paying you plenty money. Are you talking to us about vibes? Play the football, win the AFCON.
That's it, and I feel it's going to be a cagey encounter for Cameroon. They are ahead on record. They placed second in their group, and for South Africa, they also were second in Group B. So it maps up. That's fair, sort of competition between the two. I have a feel Cameroon will come stronger and surprise South Africa. Maybe it's going to get them to sack Hugo Bruce. He's been there for a minute. A lot of surprises, yet to be encountered in this AFCON, but we can wait and see. I feel Cameroon is a stronger team when you compare them to South Africa, though. I know it's arguable a little, but I look at the little minute details of the game and I see the flair and attacking instincts and talent available for Cameroon, and I have a feel that they can cause an upset against South Africa.
Wouldn't it be much of an upset, If I think about it, I think about the two teams as like, I mean, in recent context, Cameroon have fallen off a little. I would say this is even a game of equals to some point. South Africa don't have as many prominent stars. They don't have an Mbeumo in their team, obviously. But I feel like they'll give Cameroon a good run for their money. And South Africa won 2 games in the group stage, if I remember correctly. If you go back to that particular group, they were second in their group. They won 2 and lost 1. And so, very solid outing overall.
And just even the game they lost was a slightly controversial penalty from Mohamed Salah.
They lost.
Cameroon didn't do badly either. They scored 4 goals, conceded just 2, finished with 7 points. And so, I think that what Cameroon will do is test South Africa's ability to play against a resilient team, one, and a team that's hard to break down. Cameroon don't concede a lot of goals. They might not be the flashiest team, but they are almost like, if we don't score, you won't score.
100%.
That's the type of team
more
they
structured,
are.
sort of.
A very structured team. Like, they don't mind being boring for 120 minutes if it will get them a win. And so South Africa play with more freedom as a team. They are very expressive as a team. So I'll be curious to see how that goes.
It's similar to Cameroon, Ivory Coast, isn't it? In the group stages of this tourney, it's look, no matter, Ivory Coast were having that flair when you compare that to the Cameroonians, but they mapped up a strategy. So I'm saying it's going to test the tactical prowess of Hugo Bruce, because whatever approach he comes with, Cameroon have a way they are going to use to stop them.
Let me read a few messages from YouTube. So this one here is from Copot Jollof. Says, we are live. Christmas without AFCON would have been a disaster. Tins Runner says, the best show is back. Copot Jollof says, forget about Chelsea. Where are the Shiny Brothers? The Shiny Brothers are on they're on their Christmas break, you know.
The guys are enjoying, man.
Redeemer Salom watching from Williamsburg, Virginia. Shout out to Redeemer, one of our regular guys these days. Sweet Kwame, also one of our regular guys, 357, says, Happy New Year, guys. He says, you guys should hit the like and subscribe buttons. More subscribers for City Sports this year. Thank you very much, Kwame. Sporty. More messages coming through. Just a second. Let me pull up my messages. Good. Kopo Jollof says, easy for Morocco. This one is from Old Funny Videos. You people have all kinds of interesting YouTube names. Says we are there. Says Mozambique is not a bad team. So I think you're commenting about a few of the stuff I was reading out there. So that's the. Let me pick out another standout tie. A game that I think will be good. Mali Tunisia, I think, is a very good game. The Malians are eager to shake off the tag of perennial underperformance.
Are we saying the teams that finished second have equal strengths of, because Mali finished second in Group A?
Yeah. I mean, if you look at how the groups ended, a lot of teams also a lot of 7.6 points, 7-7, a lot. So I mean, there isn't a lot of difference really. If you ask me, there isn't a lot of difference in quality between Cote d'Ivoire and Burkina Faso. Cote d'Ivoire have more prominent names. But if I look at Burkina Faso as a whole unit, as a coached unit, as a team with chemistry, I don't think that they are very far off from Cote d'Ivoire standards. I think that will be a really good game as well. I want to really see that game. That's a West African rivalry, so it should be a decent tie to look forward to. I'll be surprised if Egypt make a difficult game out of the Benin tie. Talk to me about that one just real quick. Egypt, Benin. Remember, there's agenda Salah to win the AFCON. They say he has not yet led Egypt to an AFCON, and so there's that also as a mini backstory to think of. Just quick thoughts on that tie.
Not to re-emphasize the point of luck, but didn't they lose to Algeria? I mean,
Egypt?
Egypt have lost. Salah has already lost the final with Egypt, and I don't know. I just feel like him having to win one is a bit like I think you can relate to this. Ronaldo having to win the World Cup. It is.
This guy, what's wrong with this guy?
I'm surprised he's doing these things. I'm surprised he inherited this behavior from Susu Graham. You'll be talking about something, then you sneak in some sliding tackle on Ronaldo from nowhere.
I'm only pointing out
that behave yourself. You're analyzing Salah. Anyway, go ahead.
That there are similarities. That this is not necessarily what.
But Ronaldo is winning the World Cup, so I don't know about you.
Salah is winning the AFCON.
I'm telling you, in case you didn't know, you are hearing it from me first on the 1st of January, 2026. That Cristiano, the greatest, will lift the World Cup come June, July. Thank you very much. Let's continue.
We hope so.
You don't hope. Continue.
But yeah, so I think a game against Benin, Egypt are clearly favorites, and we saw against Angola they were able to rest most of their players, so that means that they should have a fresh team going into the game, and I think that they should be able to. I think they should be able to make light work of Benin. I think like I said, I think momentum coming into these games is crucial. And Benin only have one win. Benin haven't necessarily been able to. Although I would argue that their group is quite difficult, being in a group with DR Congo and Senegal. I think there are some of the groups where you look at it and while you'd have expected to qualify from the group, if you look at the level of quality within the group, you can understand why the team struggled. Yeah, but I think a win over Botswana is not exactly what is going to increase your the view of you and the estimation of people who are looking at teams that are going to progress beyond that. And I think, like I said, Salah in Egypt have...
Salah's lost 2 AFCON finals, actually.
Yeah, he
2017, 2021. So to Cameroon in 2017, that's the Hugo Broos one.
Senegal,
and then to Senegal on
against,
penalties, I believe.
Yeah.
Sadio Mane.
Yeah, so that's the element.
That's when they went back to Liverpool and everybody said they should have given him a guard of honor. They didn't treat Mane well. Ended up in so much controversy. You know the story.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and I mean, I feel from 2015 we've seen a pattern of I don't want to legends. I see legends finally getting their due call with AFCON. You saw it in 2015 with Ivory Coast and their golden generation. You saw it with Cameroon. You saw it with Senegal, and then you saw it with Algeria. And I think that at some point, Egypt are, from what I remember when I was young, I remember an Egypt team with Mohamed Aboutrika and winning 3 AFCONs back to back.
The way that guy's name has disappeared, story for another day.
I did to go from winning back to back 3 back to back AFCONs to not being able to compete at highest level. Obviously, people have pointed out that Egypt have had their own struggles with football recently, which has accounted for why they haven't been as competitive as they were. But like I said, I think Salah too has just been unlucky. There have been certain key moments in finals where, because he's lost 2 Champions League finals and 2 AFCON finals, and he's lost the Premier League title to Man City on the last day twice, both very competitive seasons. There have been a few times where if a few different things had gone for him differently, his reputation would be far more embellished than it already is. Yeah. But coming up against Benin, I think this is his opportunity. This is the tournament that he has to win.
Yeah, so, and also the path, I would say it's favorable, because if the winner of Egypt Benin will play the winner of Cote d'Ivoire Burkina Faso, and that's a difficult game.
No, but it's favorable because when you compare it to the other side of the draw, and that's when you start to realize that, because the South Africa,
so there's Cameroon on that side, South Africa on that side, Morocco, Nigeria, Algeria. Yeah, that side is pretty tough.
So I think even South Africa, if you go through them, they probably have to go through. If Cameroon went through, they have to go through South Africa, then Morocco, then maybe Algeria, and then or Nigeria. That's much more difficult than having to go through Benin and then maybe Senegal or Sudan. It's far easier on one side of the draw, and you can see it to the Club World Cup. When Chelsea went on to win the Club World Cup, some critics would argue that their side of the draw was far more favorable than the side PSG.
As for this thing, I feel like people make a meal out of it. Every time you need to win a tournament, something has to go in your favor, and 100%. Most times when teams win competitions, you realize that they are someone is on a good side of the draw. It will always happen. So I mean, you beat what's in front of you.
So luck is also
beat what is in front of you and keep it moving. Sometimes you will be presented with something in front of you where you are expected to beat a team and you can't beat the team. So
that's why you don't have to dissolve your national team.
So yes, that's what's going on. Like I said, another tie, possibly worth looking at, is Algeria. The Algeria game, I like that game a lot. Looks like it will be a cracker. Algeria DR Congo, I think that will be a really good game. DR Congo gradually establishing themselves as one of the better teams on the continent, have quite an influx of foreign born Congolese players in their team.
I like how you put it.
Yeah, they are a decent side, but they come up against an Algeria side that also finished with a perfect record in the group stage. I think Algeria and Nigeria were the only teams to finish with perfect records in the group phase. Clinical finishing from Mahrez and Ibrahim Maza. Maza has been quite the revelation in this tournament. They have good squad depth as well. If you look at their team, their knockout assignment against DR Congo, though, is a very, very tricky tie. I'm not sure if I'm envious of that tie, but let's talk about players individually in this competition. So let me go through the goal scorers numbers, and then we will get into who's been doing what. So
is it because your Real Madrid guy is on top of the list? Is why you want to go
I don't know why you are trying to bring Real Madrid into the conversation, because we are having a national team conversation, and it just so happens that Brahim Diaz is the top scorer in the competition with 3. He's not the only one though. So I mean, I don't know why you're doing that. Brahim Diaz has 3 goals. Ayoub El Kabi also has 3 goals. El Kabi plays for Olympiacos, and then you have Riyad Mahrez also on 3 goals. So those are the top scorers in the competition so far. Let's do standout players. Let me start with you, Manuel, and I'll go to Abeku. Who's your standout player of the competition so far? If you are doing group phase MVP, who's taking that for you?
That's actually quite tough because I think all the games have been slightly different. I can't off the top of my head I can't really think. I'd probably have to go for Brahim Diaz because I would have probably gone for maybe Mohamed Salah, just mainly because of the impact of his goals have had on Egypt. But he didn't play all 3 games, and the only player who at least so far with all 3 games has been able to have a constant impact is Brahim Diaz. Osimhen, I think Osimhen too deserves a shout. He hasn't come through with as many goals as the rest of his team, but I think he's led the line well for Nigeria. And Alkabi too has scored a few wonderful goals, so he definitely deserves a shout in there. But in terms of anyone who, like, Brahim Diaz looks very much like he's taking it on his shoulders, and that's kind of like he. And I want to bring in the Real Madrid connection again. Like, this is someone who's used to winning trophies. Like, this is someone who has a natural like desire within him to be competing for titles. It's not always a case of just, and that comes from I can even say going as far back as maybe Man City before he went to Real Madrid. Like, it's a constant culture around him. So now that he's come to how they call it, to Morocco, and Morocco too, if we're being honest, also have that culture now. With they made the final of the women's AFCON. They are under 17 world champions. Yeah, they're under 17 world champions and African champions.
Morocco.
Yeah, Morocco. Yeah. So they've also been able to constantly compete for different honors. It's also as I wouldn't say it's an effect, but
Gabon should be looking at that. That's a country.
No, but it's
doing football. That's why they should invest. You don't just go throwing your weight about.
Oh no, but they have invested, and I'd argue that one of the reasons they're upset with Aubameyang is I would say that they've probably given him 1 or 2 leeways.
Did you not hear that
the guy established
in
himself?
the statement?
To play for
in the statement, did you not hear something about dispersing of resources? Yeah. That's something alluding to what you're talking about. But conversation for another day.
They invest in Sports Pass Ghana.
No, they probably.
We are paying how much are they paying their coach? Check it out. No. We are paying our coach $50,000 a month.
Undeserved $50,000. Talk to me about your players of the competition so far. Who's jumped out for you so far?
I feel somewhat Chukwueze of Nigeria has been a creative.
Chukwueze.
Yeah, man. Chukwueze has been a creative force.
That guy needs a rejuvenation, you know. I don't know, his career has stagnated a little after his spell at AC Milan. Then he moved to Fulham, right? Yeah. Plays in the Premier League now.
And I feel he sums up in Nigeria's 3-0, as in doing 3 out of 3 in the group stage, and it's been a quite fantastic force he's produced, contributing to assist is quite phenomenal. I mean, there's a mention of the Moroccan, so I don't want to go there. Let me do still stay with Nigeria. I feel Ademola Lookman also. His contribution has been excellent for Nigeria. Yeah. I have a feel he's been criticized a lot by a lot of the veterans of the game. I indicated the last time, and he came into this tournament with a cool head. We know Nigeria expects a lot.
He's a big player. Yeah. I mean, I think he was. Was he MVP? No, he was not. But he was one of the big players in the last Cote d'Ivoire competition. He's AFCON Player of the Year. Yeah. How do you call it? No, CAF Player of the Year. Was huge in, I think, dismissing Bayer Leverkusen in that Europa League final. I remember that. That's perhaps his best performance I have seen. Yeah. So he's a big time player. Like they have every right to have big expectations of him.
So I feel his contribution has been immense to this Nigerian setup. I look at statistical ratings. He's contributed 2 goals, 2 assists. That's quite fantastic. Of a player of his caliber, he's living up to that standard where he placed himself in the previous campaign in terms of performance and all of that. And I go to Algeria. I pick Riyad Mahrez.
Mahrez is having a storm of a competition.
3 goals for the desert.
I didn't even think he'd be coming, like he'd go this far with the national team. I'm surprised. You're making
now I was pointing out how they're also managing his minutes because of his age and
how old is he now? 36, 37?
He can't be that old.
Mahrez can't be that old. Hold on.
Are you sure?
Hold on. I'm sure he's like 35, 36 at least.
Are you sure?
Hold on. Let me check this. real quick.
Mahrez.
I
Maybe because he's played a lot of football,
Yeah.
So we have.
Okay,
the
he's
thought-
34. 1991.
Yeah, 34.
I mean, we're in a new year, so he'll be 35 soon. So,
Well.
So the
point.
point stands.
February
but-
21. He
Fair
Yeah, so
he
actually
turns
much closer
35.
than we realized.
Yeah.
So
Almost
But,
35.
yeah.
He's in the
yeah,
twilight.
he's in the twilight, and he already has his AFCON. I don't know if he wants to further improve on that.
And he made a big deal out of that AFCON. I think he one of those guys who said that he probably wouldn't trade an AFCON for a Premier League title, even though he has multiple of those anyway. He has multiple titles, but he said if he had the opportunity, he's not giving away his AFCON title because that was a big deal. Do you know how crazy it was for Algeria when they won the AFCON? Like, I think it was like celebrations for days in the capital city, Algiers. So winning the AFCON is a big deal. Mahrez has definitely had a good competition. I agree with that. I'll talk about a few under the radar guys that maybe we haven't touched on, or maybe their teams have not been exceptional, and so we've not given them light. Gael Kakuta. I think Kakuta has been brilliant for DR Congo. I've enjoyed the work he's done for them in this competition. Ahmad Diallo, I've liked his game so far. I've liked what I've seen.
That's nice.
Nicolas Jackson as well. I think Nicolas Jackson
Champion guy.
has been very decent in this competition. Like, he's one of those guys that I feel like people wrote off because of how profligate he is in front of goal. But when I observe him as like an overall footballer,
That's an honourable mention,
yeah,
I mean, but
he has a lot to his game.
players like him and Darwin Nunes, is it not possible for coaches to retool them entirely so that they can be frontline, but they are not necessarily where the chances
That's
go
the
through?
that's the thing. I always feel like modern day football comes with more pressure. So social media puts more pressure on footballers, almost to the point where that pressure translates to the teams. Like, if fans on socials are consistently getting on the back of a player, a coach is under pressure and does not give you as many opportunities as you should because he's under pressure to get results himself. So, okay, Nunez doesn't perform 2-3 games, I have an option, I will bench you.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be like that. Ideally, I always used to say that for Real Madrid back in the day, Marcelo was so good an attacking force that I thought somebody would turn him
promise
into a
you.
left winger.
I promise you.
And kept always getting exposed on defense. He only improved his defense and got some balance to his game
Maybe you can talk about
when he played under Jose
absolutely.
Mourinho. That's when his game balanced out. So I understand what you mean. For me, ideally, if I'm a manager, I'm never ever playing Nicolas Jackson as a central striker through the middle. He's always going to be a left winger or a left inside forward coming in because he can do a lot of things. But I'm not the coach, so the coaches take their own decisions. But yeah, so those are some of the names. Katamo, I forgot about Katamo. He's been really good as well. Left-footed winger for
Mozambique.
Really
Fantastic
good. Really
guy.
good. I like him. Don't be surprised if
Fantastic
your head
guy.
coach goes looking for that guy pretty soon. They've worked together before. And so there's a good chance that your head coach might return to go and look for him. He was eligible to play for Portugal, I believe, at a point. He's just 24 years old.
He's 24.
And so he's one of those guys you look out for. If teams are as fixated,
he's fantastic.
teams like lefty wingers. You know, so he's one of those guys who you should look out for. Really good player.
But you know, you speak of my team. He's a coach. He's not a manager. So the decision of bringing players in solely does not lie, at his doorstep, if you want. So I feel getting Gini is going to be a decision that's central. That's going to be taking a lot of people. But he's 24. He's young. I mean, he plays for Sporting. Coach worked with him before. I feel it'll be fantastic.
Yeah. People are asking me about if there'll be Sports Panorama tomorrow. Ye jinemu pamping.
Oh, ding.
Me say me jinemu pamping. Say Luis Figo Pimpinis.
Number one of the year.
Pamping. Do you know Luis Figo's Pimpinis? As strong as Luis Figo's Pimpinis or David Beckham.
Hard.
So when jinemu said Figo Pimpinis, ube jinemu said Beckham Pimpinis. Ye jinemu ding. Tomorrow there's AFCON. There's Premier League, there's the Chelsea controversy, and there's Donkomi. Semenyo might be completing his City move soon. So tomorrow we are live. Don't joke.
100%.
Anyway, let's talk about that Chelsea stuff to close out the show. Enzo Maresca. Some people will say he has been fired. Some people will say mutual termination. It depends on how you slice it. So let me start off with you, Kwache, on this one. So it looks like it's been coming. Like, Charlie, excuse me, you like me? He says Mateta pimping is no Mateta. Mateta is a good guy. Mateta is one to look out. Very old school,
solid guy. Crystal Palace,
with lacy sauce.
Yeah, and in Ziki Akuna's
hard guy.
Crystal Palace. Oh, Charlie.
Enzo Maresca has gone from Chelsea. Look, I thought that they'd persist with him a little longer, but it looks like it's been turbulent. Like a lot of friction in the background about control, about suitability of players. A lot has happened at Chelsea. He's gone now.
Yeah, I mean, just the first touch on the mutual thing. Two people cannot make a decision mutually.
It's football,
but somebody has to always
football language.
It's football diplomatic lingua.
Like
when they sack a manager and they don't want to say that they've sacked the manager, they'll say, "Oh, we have mutually terminated, or we have agreed to part ways." Those things. Like it's sounding politically correct. Basically.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, they had discussion with Maresca, and I did not see it coming. Initially, when Maresca was speaking about after the Everton game, when he came out and he made these statements about how he's never felt less support from people within the club, which was surprising after the run he had been on. I mean, it depends on how to call it. I think it's one of those things that the ownership needs to understand. They need to explain their decision making in this process. From
Chelsea are fifth on the table.
And Maresca was manager of the month for last season. For last month, it was last month that he got a win over Barcelona. Things have been going quite well for him. So
just 6 months after winning the Club World Cup.
And to me, I think it comes down to the thing that we speak about with Chelsea, and Chelsea just making the same. They are not backing the manager. Like I keep saying, they keep expecting him to to produce miracles. So even though
how so they bought him Joao Pedro, they brought in Rory Delap. They've spent money. Unless you're saying they've spent the money wrongly, but you cannot accuse this Chelsea team of not backing the manager. If you say they've backed him with the wrong material, that's a different story.
I see that point, but I feel like if I give you 2 and I take away 2 and then I give you 2 again, I constantly keep taking away 2. While it seems like it looks like I'm constantly giving to you.
What are you talking about specifically?
How better is someone like Madueke, someone like Gittings, or someone like Garnacho compared to
I get what you mean.
Madueke.
So it's like they let players leave, and the guys who come in are not upgrades on the guys who
you can do the Jackson scenario.
They so Jackson.
I like his 2-2
and a lot of Chelsea fans on socials seem to be waking up to the coffee of, you know what, Joao Pedro and Delap are not better than Jackson. Like a lot of them seem to now be waking up to that situation.
I told them that it's about Jackson's
these two guys are not better than the guy we are letting go. So I kind of get what you're
coming from. I feel like every time it reaches a point, at least in this investment, where it feels like they have the players that they need to, rather than pushing on with that, they just go and make a same change again. And I saw that even with Pochettino, when they had to move Pochettino went to bring Maresca, and they are not looking long term. They're just looking for someone who, and that's why I hear a lot of the struggles guy. I think Rosinia. They're looking for, and I thought that was
they're bringing him in.
They're talked about, and I thought that was the person.
And Chelsea, they are connected to Strasbourg. Are connected to Chelsea now. So.
Yeah, and I thought Maresca was that guy, the guy who could come in and he's willing to just keep quiet, and while all the changes around him are happening, he's just happy to continue coaching.
Yeah,
but it looks like at some point it's catching up to him, because I don't think that is how you can grow a team. That's just
but numbers don't lie too, though, because they've won just one of their last 7 league matches, taking only 6 points from 6 games. So it's not like they made this on like a whim. Like the numbers don't support.
But then the thing is, he himself mentioned it from prior to the Everton game, results were not happening. But this is also the point where he's like, haven't we been here already? Last season I was under pressure, and then I had to win the Europa League, and then I had to win the Conference League. And then this season I was under pressure, and then I was still able to deliver some results for you. How many times do I need to
prove myself?
As soon as I don't win, it's like I'm back under pressure, and who is this manager?
I'd leave it out if I was him too. Because to be honest, I think that he has done well for the team in terms of projects, but maybe they are just not clear in their minds on where he's taking them, and so It's just one of them things. Abeku, let me take your thoughts on it to close out the conversation, and then we'll be out of here.
Look, Ben, closing out the conversation, I feel the Chelsea situation is in two shells. First off, the coach, I feel, is demanding too much. He's a coach, he's not a manager. And, he calls for certain players that he wants in the transfer space. One of his defenders was out, and he called for a defender. I've forgotten his name. Maybe Levi Colwell. Levi Colwell was out, and he had wanted a replacement. And then, sitting at the top level and making decisions, they felt that the squad is already a lot that they feel people can play in certain roles, and people should be given opportunities, for example. So it's difficult going to get another, replacement. And then when a player gets off injury, he has to come in, fight for, positioning and all of that. So I feel that the coach himself was trying to behave as if he's a manager. Look, he accepted the job or the responsibility to be a coach first off.
Yeah.
And I feel that he should have respected the what was laid down, before he entered the job, and stick with that. But he also has a feel that, look, I went in and won the FIFA Club World Cup. Well, the FIFA Club World Cup does not have that, respectfully, that relevance in our footballing space, but for him to have done it in that short span.
Please don't tell Chelsea fans that. Don't tell Chelsea that it doesn't have what relevance in which space. Your team was not good enough to be there. Somebody's team was going to win. They say they were not good enough to do it. Don't do that.
The word we all understand.
Yeah, I mean, just to quickly touch on that.
Yeah.
I want to touch on that because I've made this point before. Maresca winning the Club World Cup slightly gave a false, perspective of where they were in terms of their progression, and also Chelsea, and they have made it, at least it's come out in the report that they have made it pointed that Maresca was also twice during the season had sought permission to hold discussions with Manchester City over taking over the
manager's
role.
job. You're not a Pep Guardiola or Jose Mourinho or what.
I understand what you mean.
No,
but
and I think I think they're using it as an excuse, but I can also understand if Chelsea felt betrayed that while we've also backed you, you are also not showing the same how do you call it?
But Liam Rosenia.
I mean, he said
it's not like he's doing. Is he doing exceptional at Strasbourg? Strasbourg have lost like their last 3 matches.
The owners of Chelsea want a coach that will understand.
They want a coach that they can control.
Absolutely,
a coach they can tell. Hey, go to the washroom. Hey, you come and like those things. No, but it's true. and Rosenia's played for Fulham. He's played for Brighton and Hove Albion. Don't do like you don't know Eguali and Boli. That's what they are doing. They want a manager that they can. And I think one thing Maresca has been is everything else but a pushover. He's a very strong-willed person.
If you accept the responsibility or role as a coach, you understand what it comes with. It comes with somebody being a sporting director.
But he's also telling them that. But he's also telling them that they are expecting peak Manchester City Guardiola level consistency levels when you don't have that type of team to match that type of ambition. So I think it's just two people on different grounds.
They are American owners. They own an NFL team. To them, they see football transfer a bit like trade.
Thank you.
And they're switching the manager to, they also see that as one of those.
Like if you're not moving, American sports owners, when your manager is not doing, they'll sack you. They don't mind. They don't care about compensation like that.
No.
They'll move you quickly and bring somebody else. Is the replacement they want to bring in that's a little shocking to me because of all the managers in the world, no disrespect to Liam Rosenia. And I know they are considering him because of the link between the two clubs.
And they want to do that for long term, mind you.
Anyway, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But that's the word on this one. The other bit of news on the boxing front is that Anthony Joshua has been released from hospital and apparently will continue his recovery at home following his accident in Nigeria. Thank you very much, Bernard Abekwatri. Thank you very much, Manuel Kwache and Benjamin Nketia. This has been Inside AFCON. Group phase over, round of 16 kicks off on Saturday. Tomorrow we'll be here again to give you some insights on that and also on Sports Panorama. So do stick and stay with us. Until then, bye bye for now. DJ Mingo will take over.
Lions never dread. The black star shine in Ghana sky. Bafana dance, spirits high. The sable antelopes leap with grace, and the desert foxes set the pace. One Africa, one
City 97.3 Accra.